What is up? It is Overreaction Monday. Welcome on into Let's Bet It. Lauren Jabari here with Mark Zinno, MZ. We finished off week 9 of college football. We're almost there with week 8 of NFL. Your overall thoughts from this weekend, because some spooky things were happening. Happy Halloween.
Same to you. I'll take the mask off after the show is over. My face isn't normally this pretty, so I'll go back to being my ugly self right after the show is over. That said, look, it was a profitable Saturday and shocking, a profitable Sunday for me for the first one in probably about
Let's
4 or 5
go.
weeks in the NFL. So all worked out pretty well. It was, listen, there was crazy games on Sunday. Falcons Panthers was nuts, and a couple of other wild sort of outcomes that were pretty unpredictable, but all things considered, I'm starting to feel like the NFL is starting to turn a corner, and it's going to re-regulate. The numbers and the trends that we're seeing are going to start to come to fruition. We've had a wild 7+ weeks right now, but this may be the turning point for the season where, for gamblers who play systems and numbers on a routine basis like myself, things may start to level off for us.
Absolutely. Yeah, this was a big, probably like the first really good week for the sports books in a while for the NFL football season, which is crazy. The Giants come back down to earth. The Jets come back down to earth. The Bucks are still basically at the core of the earth right now. And we're going to get into winners and losers in a second, which I will get into why I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are my loser after 7-8 weeks of NFL football season. We also have Monday Night Football preview and props with Prop Holiday. We have college football early birds, crazy stuff going on in the college football world right now. So many good teams that all deserve to be in the playoffs at this point. Teams took care of business this week. We'll get into it. MLB postseason. We got game 3 that headed right back up to Philly. That's going to be exciting. Series tied at 1-1 apiece. And then we have our Pickswise 3-star play of the day and our best bets of the day. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Let's bet it. Presented by Superbook Sports. Winners and losers. 8 weeks into the NFL season. I'll start with you, Zeno. Who is your biggest winner from week 8?
I think Dallas Cowboys. Look, just a very solid offensive performance. For a team that, was getting by with really good defense and not so great offense while Cooper Rush was in.
Yeah.
This was the first offensive game you felt like the Cowboys played up to their potential offensively, what they had. They put up 49 points in the game. Now, granted, they did get a defensive touchdown there, but still, 42 points for this offense is really good. Dak Prescott did make a couple of sort of boneheaded interceptions that were a little bit head scratching, but Tony Pollard goes off for 131 yards.
Yeah.
If the Dallas offense can get to the 27-30 range on a routine basis, they might not lose another game for the rest of the year. They got 2 tough games coming up against the NFC North. They go on the road to the Packers and the Vikings. Once they clear that, they only have one real tough opponent left, and that's the Philadelphia Eagles. So a lot in front of the Dallas Cowboys. They're in great position right now.
Speaking of the Philadelphia Eagles, they're one of my winners for this week. Not just necessarily the team, but Jalen Hurts in general. He's not just having a breakout year, Zeno. This guy's playing like an MVP caliber quarterback this season, and they're still the only undefeated team to this point. And then you see the connection between him and A.J. Brown. It's one of the best quarterback receiver combinations, and they have the best chemistry that I've seen in the NFL this season. They're exceeding expectations greatly. And this weekend, Jalen Hurts alone, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. His odds moved in the MVP race from 5-1 to about 3.5-1. Now, the next 2 weeks, they have the Texans. They have the Commanders. They should remain undefeated through 10 weeks, don't you think, at this point?
I mean, I don't want to take anything away from the Eagles because they're undefeated, but they currently have only beaten 2 teams with a winning record. One of those was the Vikings,
True.
and the other one is the Cowboys. They haven't played any quarterbacks of real note. Like, other than Kirk Cousins, that's the best quarterback they've played all year long by a wide margin. So they've been fortunate to have sort of inferior opponents on their schedule. Now, to their credit, they beat inferior opponents. That's what you're supposed to do. So you can't take anything away from them. They didn't set the schedule. They didn't know who was going to be quarterbacking when the season started. That's not up to them. They've gone out there and taken care of business. So, and you look at what A.J. Brown has done for Jalen Hurts, and look, this may be a trend that's starting to change things around. For a while, Lauren, we saw in the NFL where, drafting high-level wide receivers and trading for wide receivers didn't always make quarterbacks better. But the offensive philosophy has shifted a little bit and quarterbacks are more mobile and things are moving around. Receivers are starting to make young quarterbacks better and make their lives a lot easier. And that's certainly what's happening in Philadelphia.
Absolutely. The other winner that I have is just Christian McCaffrey and the way that he seamlessly transitioned into that 49ers offense this past week. Last week, we obviously saw they didn't really use him as much. This week, last week, Jimmy G couldn't really get much going. This week, they're like, hey, let's use Christian McCaffrey and let's give him a passing touchdown, a rushing touchdown, and a receiving touchdown. The first player to do it since LaDainian Tomlinson back in 2005, and only the third to do it since 1990. He's fitting in just fine to that 49ers offense right now. And that's maybe just the extra piece that they needed to take it to the next level. So we'll see moving forward. But the 49ers did look really good this past week because of Christian McCaffrey. Let's move on to the losers of week 8. Who is your loser?
It's the Carolina Panthers, in particular, Eddie Pinheiro, their idiot kicker. I don't care that DJ Moore took his helmet off. Make the damn kick. That's your sole purpose in life. Make the damn kick. And then shanking a 32-yarder in overtime, make the damn kick. Okay? Don't blame DJ Moore for any of this. If he could miss a 32-yarder, he could have missed the extra point. This has nothing to do with DJ Moore. Oh, by the way, the NFL needs to change that rule. Okay? That's ridiculous. Okay?
Yeah.
At this point in time, taking your helmet off should not be a penalty after a touchdown. You want to say it's during the middle of a play, in the middle, fine. After a touchdown, like the NFL really needs to look at this. That's a stupid reason for a team to lose 15 yards. Credit to Arthur Smith and the Falcons for being smart enough to put it on the extra point. But the idiot kicker cost the Panthers a game and a shot at first place in the NFC South.
Yeah, the NFC South is literally so bad. The Falcons are leading it right now with a 4-4 record, and nipping at their heels is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the New Orleans Saints, both sitting at 3-5 right now. Biggest loser to me is also from the NFC South, and it is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers after that Thursday night football game against the Ravens. They're digging themselves the holes they know at this point that is way too deep. Tampa Bay, is 2 games below 500. Tom Brady, 2 games below 500 for the first time in his career. Defensively, they're banged up. Now Shaq Barrett has torn Achilles. They have gone 4 games, their defense has, without a takeaway at this point. Offensively, they're anemic, literally anemic. 17 rushing yards and a touchdown to start the game. Then after that, only 27 rushing yards on the next 10 drives. Their run game might be the worst in franchise history ever for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then you could also tell that Tom Brady does not trust his O-line at all, which is not really good being a quarterback playing under center, not trusting the guys that are blocking for you. Good news for them. They're only 1 game out of first place because of how bad the NFC South is right now. They could still win the division, but they are bad news Bucks right now. Bad news Bears and bad news Bucks because not many good things happening down in Tampa Bay. Biggest overreaction, who you got?
I'll stay with you in the Buccaneers, and I think it's Tom Brady and, also Aaron Rodgers. Guys, if you're watching these games, Tom Brady's not falling apart. Tom Brady's in fluttering ducks like Peyton Manning was in his final year. Tom Brady's fine. He's still got zip everywhere. He still knows how to read defenses. He still understands everything I've had to do to make his team win. He's not missing wide receivers badly. Same thing for Aaron Rodgers. These are just guys that at this stage of their career, need a little bit more help than what they're getting from everybody around them. And you mentioned it, Lauren, the offensive line for both of these teams are terrible. These are guys in their 40s. They can't run around like they used to. You got to give them as much time as possible, and they don't have it. I think these are a product of the coaching and the scheme, not adjusting, just thinking that Brady and Rodgers would do what they'd normally done and make everybody better. Yeah. Schemes have gotten stale, and Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers are suffering as a result of it.
Absolutely. And I said the same thing about the Packers before as well. I said, this is a Green Bay Packers team that their identity was surrounded around Aaron Rodgers and their O-line. How can you have an identity around an O-line that can't block for your quarterback or can't open up holes for the running game? I mean, I know they're dealing with a lot of injuries on the Packers side, but at the same time, if that's the identity of your team, there's lack thereof at that point. I know we're going to have Prop Holliday come on in a second to talk Monday Night Football, but let's get into some college football Week 9 reactions. A lot of 8-0 teams after 9 weeks. Tennessee destroyed Kentucky. Now they look to Georgia moving ahead. Georgia also 8-0 on the season. They beat Florida this weekend with 3 turnovers. I am so excited to pull out that popcorn now for the Tennessee-Georgia game on November 5th. I know we said last week, Zeno, that Tennessee needed to take care of business, not look ahead. That is exactly what they did against Kentucky.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, if Georgia turns the ball over 3 times against Tennessee, they're losing. This is a Tennessee offense that takes advantage of a lot of mistakes. If you make them, they will punish you for them. So from that standpoint, this is very much a a scenario where Georgia's got to play a nearly game. And it goes back to what I've said all season long about the Georgia Bulldogs. The only team that could beat Georgia is Georgia. If they play sloppy and make mistakes, Tennessee will make them pay for it. I think it's going to be a very interesting sort of final 5 weeks of the regular season in college football. I still think a lot of these undefeated teams will get taken care of. Obviously, Ohio State's going to play Michigan. Georgia's going to play Tennessee. TCU still probably can get beaten a couple of times. Those 6 teams with a 0 in the L column, that's likely going to change for everybody but Clemson, who may end up being, Lauren, the first undefeated conference champion to not make the college football playoff.
Yeah, right now, Ohio State and Michigan are sitting in that 3-4 spot, and TCU and Clemson are kind of like, hey, guys, like, I also have a 0 in the lose column. I want to be let in. Let me into the party. Right now, they're on the outside looking in. Alabama, Oregon, USC, all with 1 loss, too. They want to join the party. Other notable games. What about Kansas State running Oklahoma State out of Manhattan, 48-0?
The most shocking game of the weekend for the only reason that Oklahoma State in that offense couldn't score a single point. That was the most surprising, shocking outcome I saw on Saturday that I would have never predicted within a million years or an inch of my life. I would have never predicted that Oklahoma State would have been shut out.
What about Wake Forest? 8 turnovers in the second half, including 6 in the third quarter in their loss to Louisville. That was bad.
It was a very stinky line. When that thing opened up and it was only 5 points, I went, huh? Why is that line so short? And they kept going down all week long. It was 3.5 at kickoff. That was a game that I wasn't going to touch, but I would have told you Louisville is the right side there ahead of time. I'll give one more nod to the Oregon Ducks, and I'm going to keep pumping them up because that may be one of the most complete teams in the country. The dismantling of Cal on the road. You know, every team has had this sort of letdown game where it's a lot closer than what people would have thought. Oregon hasn't really had one of those this year. I mean, they led by 10 late in the fourth quarter over Washington State until a garbage touchdown with 1 second left made it a 3-point game, and it looked a lot different. But Oregon was never in question in that game, and they've scored 4 since they got beat down in week 1 against Georgia. They've done nothing but score 40 points every single game, and win every single game by double digits, with the exception of the one I just mentioned against Washington State with the last second touchdown that made it not a double-digit game. They are destroying opponents at this point in time, and Bo Nix should be getting Heisman consideration, even though he's not.
Yeah, after week 1, I feel like people kind of wrote them off with that game against Georgia. I was at that game at Mercedes-Benz. Bo Nix looking like Bo Picks, and he's just really redeemed himself over the last 8 weeks. Since then, it really is true. I want to get a little bit more, Zeno, before we bring in Bobby Stanley, a little bit more about this Ohio State game, because Penn State, they stuck it out. They stayed right with it. They were up at halftime. They led in the fourth quarter, and then Ohio State broke out, scored 4 touchdowns in the last 9 minutes of that game. You kind of predicted it, though. You're like, if Penn State can hold Ohio State to around 30 points, they have a chance to win this game.
Yeah, and the problem is for Penn State, it's the same thing that happened again. They had a lead against Michigan. They gave up a 60-yard touchdown run, and Michigan never looked back. They had a lead against Ohio State. They gave up a 40-yard touchdown run and never looked back. I mean, nobody would have predicted the 45 points being scored in the fourth quarter alone in that game, considering there wasn't even 45 points scored in the first 3 quarters of that game. So the ending was a little bit, unscripted. And Penn State gets the backdoor cover, by the way, with that late touchdown that they scored. So if you're a Penn State backer, you put a smile on your face. But Penn State, it's kind of the script they're always writing. They start out hot. They lose to Ohio State. They lose to Michigan. And they end up 10-2. They go to a nice bowl game, and that's it. Now, is that bad? No, it's not bad. Mark Richt did that for years in Georgia, and people hated him for it and got him fired. So I'm not saying James Franklin isn't the guy there, but the script for Penn State as a season is kind of predictable.
Absolutely. Michigan 8-0 also. They beat Sparty this weekend. Then there was a post-game altercation in the tunnel. 4 MSU players suspended indefinitely from the team right now. Mel Tucker said this morning that 4 of his players, he suspended them. So at that point, I have no clue. I don't know any of the background information about it. I just saw the videos on Twitter like you.
Can I ask you a question as a Michigan fan?
Yes.
Are you concerned about this offense? Because I am highly concerned about it against a team that can score.
I'm a little worried when they take on a team like Ohio State, because they've been facing somewhat of anemic of defenses at this point. So that's how they've been able to score. I'm worried when they go up against a good defense like they will see in the Ohio State Buckeyes, who have one of the best defenses in college football right now.
Yeah.
But that, again, is neither here nor there. And we have 4 weeks. We as a team, me and Michigan football, have 4 weeks to prepare
All of
for that
Wolverine
game
Nation.
right after Thanksgiving. I'm going to give thanks for being, 11-0 on the season, and then keep my fingers crossed and hold my breath for that game on Saturday after that, because who knows at that point what's going to happen.
Try in your blue sweatshirt.
I know, seriously. So we'll see. Keeping my fingers crossed that they can get anything going on the offensive side against a really, really good defense in Ohio State. But they have a few weeks to work out the kinks, few weeks to work on scheming. Hopefully Jim Harbaugh comes up with some creative play calling. We'll see what happens. But a couple weeks before then. So I'm not holding my breath at this point. Let's take it from boys to men. Boys to men. Boys to men, college football to NFL. Talk about our Monday Night Football game, bringing Bobby Stanley, Prop Holiday, to chat some props for Monday Night Football. We have the Browns taking on the Bengals. That spread right now set at 3. The Bengals got swept by the Browns last season, guys. Now they want some revenge. The AFC North is getting exciting with the Bengals and the Ravens creating some separation, and Joe Burrow is finally finding his rhythm. 501 total yards, 4 touchdowns. Great to see. Bobby Stanley, how the heck are you today? Happy Monday and happy spooky season. It is Halloween.
Happy Halloween, guys. I'm doing okay. My Rams suck, so I pivoted to the New Jersey Devils, who sit atop the Metro right now. There's other sports and other teams I enjoy that are doing well. I don't need to focus on the Rams. But other than that, it's going great.
It's going great. I know we have some good props heading into Monday Night Football game tonight. Start with Joe Burrow. Like I said, after a bad week 1, he's been solid. 13 touchdowns and only 1 interception since then.
Yeah. I'm actually liking his passing yards today. It's 267.5. He's hit this in 4 of the last 5 of the 7 on the year. He's averaging 335 yards per game against the Browns for his career. But I think this line is low due to Jamar Chase being out. If we look at Tyler Boyd and we look at T. Higgins, they're 1,000-yard receivers in their own right. They'd probably be 1 and 2 wide receivers on most teams in the NFL. I don't think they miss a beat offensively without Jamar Chase. We may even see some more Joe Mixon lined up out wide. So passing yards at a premium tonight. Denzel Ward is out for the Cleveland Browns, so that secondary could see some shuffling. And I was looking at the Browns' pass defense on paper. Yes, it looks pretty good, but then you kind of dig into the weeds and you see, well, they played Baker Mayfield, Mitch Trubisky, and Marcus Mariota. So it kind of brings those average totals down. So I like Joe Burrow in prime time over 267.5 passing yards.
I want to ask you, I think a great anytime touchdown scorer tonight in this game for the Bengals would be Hayden Hurst. And, you know, he is used in a variety of ways in this offense. And with Jamar Chase out, you know, teams will reflect that in a coverage standpoint, but they seem to forget about the tight end. I feel like Hurst could be a beneficiary both from a touchdown standpoint and a yardage standpoint.
Definitely. He was someone I was looking at in this matchup. You know, he's come on of late. You see a couple games, he's really starting to get a little bit more involved in the offense where it kind of slowed early on in the season. You're going to see them get creative. You're going to see what they can do without Jamar Chase. So Hayden Hurst as a touchdown score. What'd you find it at? Like plus 200, plus 210 is my guess?
Plus 250. Plus 250.
250? Yeah. No, that's good value. That's solid value for a tight end target in the red zone. So not bad. I went a little bit chalky with one of my touchdown. I went with Joe Mixon. It is laying minus 120. I will lay the juice on this. He's had 5 touchdowns against the Browns in the last 4 games dating back to 2019. So Hayden Hurst, not bad. If you're looking for a little bit of a safer play, I got my eye on Joe Mixon tonight.
I like that. And you look at the Browns, too. They have a below-average pass defense. Could you see Joe Burrow maybe taking advantage through the air as well?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, the passing yards are big for me. You can always pivot to over 1.5 passing touchdowns. That's one. And then there's another guy who's going to be stepping in for Jamar Chase on the perimeter. His name's Mike Thomas. He's their wide receiver 3. His longest reception is only 14.5 yards, and that one strikes me as extremely low. So they're going to keep Tyler Boyd in the slot. That's where he really thrives. So they'll throw Thomas on the outside. This guy's average depth of target this season is 15.7 yards in his 2 receptions. So capable of filling that role. Last season, he hit this line in 3 of 6 games that he caught a pass. And the guy that he's lining up against, Martin Emerson for the Browns, he allowed this longest reception in 4 of 6 games. So I don't think Mike Thomas sees a lot of volume tonight, but his line's low enough at 14.5 that I think he can get this in to lock this in.
Hey, just a quick question here, Bobby. In reference to Kareem Hunt, I know they're going to honor his trade request. Are they benching him tonight? I mean, because I'm not seeing any of his, or I am seeing, his rushing yards prop. Does it feel like that would be an under, given that they might not want to play him and risk him getting hurt before the trade deadline?
So it's funny you mentioned that, Mark. I was looking for his lines all morning. I was looking to fade it just for that exact reason.
I just found him on DraftKings, yeah.
And what's the line at? Like 32.5, 30.5? It can't be much.
Is his rushing yards prop, and his receiving yards is 12.5.
I would go under on both, just because for the exact same reason. They probably have multiple deals lined up that they're considering. You don't want to see that deal fall through. They like Dearness Johnson as a backup running back to Nick Chubb. So he's something. It's an angle I've considered. Why not just fade him completely, expect him to play a handful of plays on the night? So it's not a bad idea.
We had talked about Hayden Hurst, maybe anytime touchdown, but you're looking at the tight end on the other side and Harrison Bryant for an anytime touchdown at good plus money value.
I do. I have to find, I throw out the Joe Mixon. Now I got to find someone with a little bit more odds for something to get me interested on Monday Night Football. Even Njoku's out tonight, and Harrison Bryant will probably step into that starting role. We know how much Jacoby Brissett loves targeting his tight ends. Couldn't find a Harrison Bryant receiving line, but that would be something to keep an eye out for. But for his touchdown at plus 320, he scored twice against Cincinnati back in 2020. He should get red zone targets. They're going to stack the box to stop Nick Chubb. So if Harrison Bryant can peel off, get one in the back of the end zone at plus 320, I'd throw it in a couple same-game parlays.
I love it. Zeno, anything else from you? My friend.
No, Bobby's got me everywhere I need to be when it comes to props. So I defer to the king himself and bow in front of his holy presence.
That's what I needed on a depressing Monday morning that lacks sleep and profitable Sunday. So thank you so much, Mark.
Bobby Stanley, we so appreciate you. Prop Holiday, thank you so much for coming on, giving us the latest and greatest on the Monday Night Football game. Browns taking on the Bengals. We'll talk to you soon, Thursday.
Best of luck, guys. Take care.
You too. And go Devils. I love that. I like how he shifts, too, from the Rams jersey to the Devils jersey when the Rams don't do very well last night. That's the best part about it. For a lot of Philly fans, they're hoping for some good stuff to be happening. They saw the Eagles win yesterday. They're hoping for the Phillies to take advantage today. We have Game 3 of Major League Baseball World Series. The Astros right now minus 130 on the money line tonight versus the Phillies plus 120. That total is set at 8. They're heading to Philly tied at 1 apiece. Game 1, the Astros are up 5-0. The Phillies came back, won 6-5. That was first Houston loss of the postseason, which is pretty crazy. Order was restored though, Zeno, in Game 2, right? The pitching from Houston has been incredible up to this point, and the Astros have been hitting the ball aggressively. Game 3 now, back at home. The Phillies have not lost a postseason game at home. Does that end tonight, or do you think they keep it going and go up 2-1 in the series?
I think they go up 2-1 in the series. That's going to be an environment that the Phillies are ready for. Forget Seattle, forget Yankee Stadium. That place is going to be bonkers tonight, especially after the Eagles won again yesterday. They have nothing going up against it. It's not like there's any place else to divert their attention. I don't even think the Sixers are playing tonight, are they? I think they are, but it doesn't matter. Regardless, they will have the full attention of the Philadelphia fan base, and that place is going to be absolutely. Because I've attended World Series games in that park when the Yankees ended up going there in 2009. Yeah, but the Sixers are not playing tonight; they play tomorrow night. So they're in Washington anyway. That said, I think Philadelphia is feeling it right now. They got shut down by a good pitcher in Game 2. I think their bats will respond nicely, especially at home in the ballpark. Expect to see some balls leave the yard. I like the Phillies tonight on the money line.
If you want to get them before they possibly go up 2-1 in the series, their series price right now is plus 150. If they win tonight, that might go down a little bit. So make sure to grab it now. Well, it's good. Astros are minus 170. A little juicy to grab them to win the series. So if you're looking for maybe a little bit of value, you can look at the Astros on the money line tonight. It's going to be an exciting game, though. Game 3 all happening this evening in Philly. Let's Bet It, presented by Superbook Sports. Make sure to go to superbook.com or download the app today. In this season, we are all rooting for safeties. That's because Superbook is going to give you a $50 bonus on each safety scored this season. Just place a $100 pregame bet on any spread, any total, and if there's a safety scored in any game on Sunday, you, my friends, get a $50 bonus. Make sure to visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Superbook.com to Pickswise.com. 3-star play of the day, Zeno. Who do we got today on this wonderful Halloween Monday?
Oh, I mean, listen, it is scary. And I mean scary.
Spooky.
How good the 3-star plays on the website have been. We
Ooh.
actually have a game. We have a play for the Monday night game from Clev TA, and also in the NBA we have a 3-star play on the website. So, oh, by the way, UCLA best bet this weekend cashed in for us on the website as well. So there is that.
Let's freaking go. I absolutely love it. Okay, your play of the day. Who do you got? Because I'm taking mine to the ice, and I'll finish it out there.
I'm going to go to the NBA here and take advantage of a team that's playing really bad and starting really badly, and that's the Brooklyn Nets, who are 1-5. And they're going up against the Indiana Pacers for the second time now in 3 days. You know, they're doing that weird split back-to-back that the NBA has instituted. They lost to the Pacers on Saturday night. They gave up 125 points. The Pacers are the second highest scoring team in the league, scoring 118 points per game. The Nets are last in points allowed. They're last in three-point field goal percentage defense. Give me the Pacers over 113.5 tonight. I think the Pacers getting 8.5 or 9 points, depending on what the number is an absolutely easy play as well. But why fight the worst defense in the league? And give me the Pacers in their hot three-point shooting over 113.5 tonight.
What the heck is going on up in Brooklyn at this point? 1-5 on the season, and there's some turmoil going on inside that locker room. We'll see what happens with them moving forward, but it's crazy. I like that bet a lot. I'm taking mine to the ice, the Caps. Taking on the Canes, and I'm taking the Caps money line at plus 154, getting a lot of really good value here. They're meeting up in Raleigh. The Caps have won 2 of the last 3 of their games on the road and 5 of their last 7 games overall. They've been red hot since a really bad 0-2 start to the season. The Canes started the season 3-0, but since then they're 2-1, so they've kind of slowed down a little bit. So I feel like getting that plus money value on the Caps money line, the hotter team right now after starting 0-2, now winning 5 of their last 7 overall games, they're looking pretty good right now. And they've also won 5 of the last 6 head-to-head meetings between the teams. And the Caps are 5-0 in their last 5 games after a day of rest. So they had yesterday off. They're coming into this game feeling well rested. They want to go up against the Canes. And the Canes are 2-5 in their last 7 games against teams with a winning record. They've also been alternating wins and losses, and they're coming off of a win. I really like how Darcy Kemper played for the Caps in the last game against the Preds. He got his first shutout between the pipes for them as a Washington Capital. He allowed 3 or less goals in 4 straight starts, so I'm feeling pretty good about him in between the pipes. Give me the Caps money line on the road. Underdog. Let's go. Woo! You love to see it. That's it for us today, guys. Find us on the Pickswise YouTube channel. Go to Pickswise.com. Follow us on Twitter. Mark Zeno, Lauren Jabara. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Best of luck with your Monday Night Football bets tonight. Let's get it. Let's bet it. Presented by Superbook Sports. Happy Halloween. Spooky.